ॐ कूजन्दं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम् यस्य ज्ञानप्रभवमतुलं रामचन्द्रस्य मोहम् दूरीकृत्वा सकलजगदामद्वयं घोषितं च तं योगीन्द्रं निगमनिलयं ब्रह्मणः पुत्ररूपम् आनन्दाब्धिं गुरुवरमहं श्रीवसिष्ठं प्रपद्ये. Namaste and welcome to the 10th episode of the Yoga Vasishta colloquium, first of its kind in English and first of its kind in expounding the entire Yoga Vasishta for the people who are interested by Tadvanam Ashramam as part of its Mahashivarathri celebration that's going to happen on the 8th of March 2024. Over the last few days, I hope the journey was quite interesting and you were with me. And we started off with the discussion of Shikhidhwaja, the king of Malava, whose wife becomes self-realized, and the wife plans to get the king into the path of knowledge. And in the last episode we saw how she transforms into the form of Kumbha, a brahmachari, and tells the king to look beyond the karmas and makes the king realize that the Atman is not something which you have to achieve by doing a lot of work, but just by the Sarvatyaga, all renunciation. It will naturally shine within you, and there are no external activities that are needed to get you into the state of self-realization. Everything that is related with this philosophy is the internal bhava, the state of mind, and that is all that matters in this subject. So Kumbha tries to explain to the king Shikhidhwaja through various anecdotes. He tells the story of Chindamani, he tells the story of Gajendra, and makes the king realize that he went from the jaws of Ajnana back into the jaws of Ajnana by not letting the Ajnana shake off. Like the elephant which went from the mahout and didn't kill the mahout, and he finally ended up in the chains. The same way, king left the job of kingship and took the job of a sage, both alike a bondage. Unless you give away the ahankara, the chitta, you will not be able to achieve the sarvatyaga, which is the chintamani, for the peace of mind. And that is the reason why the king was not happy. So Kumbha continues to explain this. Kumbha says that Chittatyaga is Sarvatyaga. The renunciation of mind is the all renunciation, ultimate renunciation, with which you will be able to achieve the self. When you renounce the mind, what remains is the Paramakarana, the primal cause, the reason for everything else to appear. That is Bodha. What is the nature of the Chitta? It is driven by the Vasanas. And what is Vasana? Vasana is accepting the name and form as reality without double checking, without having a deeper thought. And the reason for the Vasana is Ahankara. For the Chitta is Ahankara. Ahankara is me, I. This I-ness comes out of the Bodha or the consciousness, and the I-ness will lead to Buddhi. Buddhi is the one which has certain determinations. The Buddhi, when mixed up with Sankalpas, gives rise to mind, which is a bundle of thoughts. What Kumbha says is that all these vicharas, the Sankalpas, are the branches of the mind. What you have been doing through all these activities, japa, dhyana, etc., is to break out the branches, to cut out the branches. What I am asking you is to remove it from the root. What is the root? It is the I, Ahankara. Remove that Ahankara and then this mind will be gone on its own. That is the Sarvatyaga, that is the Chintamani, that is the ultimate aim, that is the self-realization. There is nothing else. And the Shikhidwaja asks, what is that fire which will help me to burn this mind, the Ahankara? And Kumbha says, it is the vichara of who am I. In every state of your life, of your mind, you keep thinking about who am I. The more you penetrate deeper, the more you will overcome the gross levels and reach the subtle levels. And the gross levels are the Indriyas, the Buddhi, the mind, and you need to go on like that until you reach the place from where this impulse starts, the I. There, once you realize that, and then you will be able to pluck that out and throw it away. Then what remains is your sahaja avastha. That is your natural position. Because of all the ajnana, the vasanas that you have accumulated, you have forgotten about it. You have completely forgotten what you are, what your real nature is. It is Sat Chit Anandam. Absolute existence, absolute consciousness and absolute bliss. This you will realize once you uproot the mind through the thought of who am I. As I told earlier, you need to take out the thorn that has pricked into your body using another thorn and throw away both. At one stage, you will naturally throw away the question of who am I, and you just know I am. That is the ultimate goal of the Vichara Marga. So Shikhitvaja says, I have done this. I have tried to do this, that I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am not this, I am not that. All this manobuddhya ahankara chittani naham najan srotra jihve naja ghrana netre. I have tried to intellectually practice this. Then still I am not able to get convinced. I am not able to reach there. So Kumbha asks, okay, if you are not the mind, you are not the body, you are not whatever you negated, what are you? He asks the question, he prompts. A real guru does this prompting. He makes the disciple come out of the delusion himself. As I earlier told, it is disciples Shuddha Buddhi that will lead to the Mukti. Guru can prompt, Guru can give advice. So the answer has to come from him only, the disciple only. So Kumbha asks, okay, then who you are? Tell me who you are. Shikhidhvaja again says, I am Shuddha Bodha. I know this. I am the consciousness. But I cannot remove this ahankara, the I. Then Kumbha asks, okay, what is the cause for this I? Shikhidhvaja very clearly says, most of us would feel this, that there is this illusion, there is this imagination that I exist. How can I remove that I exist, that particular feeling? That is the reason for the ahambhava. There is pure consciousness and the impulse that arises from the pure consciousness that I exist. I am this, I am that, I am seeing, I am doing. This I. Even if the mind is made to under control, this I will keep on coming. What can I do? Again Kumbha asks, what is the reason for this I to feel that this I is there? To feel that you are there? So Shikhidhvaja gets confused. He says, the sankalpas are coming as drishyas, the seen or the visible things. This, whatever is seen, is unreal. But I am not able to experience that. I am not able to get convinced that this is unreal. And that is the reason why this aham bhava comes again and again. Because I am not able to get convinced that this whole world is unreal, I get this aham bhava, that I am seeing, I am doing, I am thinking. That is the cause. So Kumbha says, what is remaining when you remove the scene? What is the cause for the whatever you are seeing? That should be the reality. So when you see something, think of the cause that makes it happen. If you go back down, you would find that there is no reason for you to feel I. This I-ness itself is a Brahma. You are not getting it. The I, feeling of this I itself is the primal cause for the Brahma. Because of this I feeling, you have the buddhi, you have the mind, you have the world. When you can make this I to go away, then what remains is the pure consciousness. That consciousness does not think I, because that is it. It does not have to identify itself as I. It pervades everything. Then what is the distinction to be made as I and you? So here the philosophy goes even beyond the mind. Till now we were discussing at the level of the mind. Now it even surpasses that and goes into the primal impulse of I-ness. So then Kumbha says, what is blocking you from realizing this? He says, I have the hands, legs, everything. It does work. It gets the result. And there is no way that I can deny that. And that is the reason why this I comes. That I am doing. I am getting the result. So here, Shikhidhwaja gives an advice. A simple piece of advice which helps people to get out of this notion of I. He says, Na kartasmi, na bhoktasmi, sarvam shantam ajam shivam. Iti nischyavanandar ajnanam tanutam naya. You have to decide within yourself that I am neither the doer nor the receiver of the result. By thinking repeatedly so and doing the work, you will be able to reduce the ajnana. Ajnanam tanutam naya. To lean the ajnana. So at that time, when you do not consider yourself as the doer or the receiver of the result, then whatever the body does, it does. You have no control, you have no wish. At that time your I thought will it arise? And Kumbha says, Shikhidhwaja says, no, then it won't arise. Absolutely. You have to consider this whole world as Maya and still engage in the work without the thought of I am doing it, without the kartrutva and bhoktrutva, without the ownership of the act itself or the result of the act. That will lead to the removal of the notion that I am doing, and that will lead to the reduction of the ahankara, and ahankara fades away, and what remains will be the Shuddha Bodha, which is without impulse, avikari, without any change, because whatever changes will die, whatever changes is subject to change and change and change and eventually fade away. So the truth cannot be that. The truth should not fade away. The truth should not die. Hence, the truth is what remains unchanged within this changing world. Your mind, your buddhi, your body, everything is vikari. Everything undergoes changes. Even the impulse of I, it comes up and it goes down. It comes up and goes down. It moves. It changes. Hence it cannot be the truth. The truth is that you are absolute Brahman which has no shape, no gunas or qualities, and it does not change. Does not have any kind of vikara or changes. Now, on the same principle, on the same item, you can have two kinds of visions. or experience. One is Vastu Anubhavam, another is Brahma Anubhavam. Vastu Anubhavam means seeing a thing as it is. Brahma Anubhavam means seeing a thing as what it is not. Suppose there is a tree. In the night, a kid believes that there is ghost in the tree. In the night, he would see the tree moving as the ghost moving. Is that Vastu Anubhava or Brahma Anubhava? Vastu Anubhava will be the tree moving. Brahma Anubhava will be the ghost moving. Similarly, we talked about the serpent and the rope. Vastu Anubhava is the rope. Brahma Anubhava is the serpent. You take the whole world. The Vastu Anubhava is that the world is made up of something that is not changing, and that is the Bodha. Brahmanubhava is this world. That it is moving, this is me, this is you, this is what it is. All these are Brahmanubhavas because they are changing, they are vikaris. Every vikara, whatever undergoes change, will have various stages of vikara. One will see that it is coming into existence, it is being born, then it remains, it grows, it changes, it fades, and it is lost. It is being taken out. So these parinamas, these vikara parinamas, the changes, are bound to happen for anything that is in the Brahma. Anything that is truth should not have these. Hence, your true self is Shuddha Bodha, which is Nirakara, Nirvikara, Nirguna. This is called the Vivarta Brahma. Whatever that you see in the world is called Vivarta, where the cause itself does not change. Here in this particular case, the rope does not change for you to see it as serpent. It is your ajnana which causes the unchanging rope to be seen as the serpent, the non-moving rope to be seen as the serpent moving. It is called the Vivarta Brahma. Similarly, the Advaita talks about various ways in which the Brahma occurs, and there is a defined path to get rid of this. So, this whole world is Brahman, is your Atma. That conviction is the Sarvatyaga. Then the Sarvatyaga comes automatically, because you have renounced your I-ness, you have renounced your sankalpas. By hearing these words of Kumbha, Shikhidhwaja becomes happy still. He understands the real nature of the self and he starts meditating on it. And similar to what Janaka said, he also feels Prabuddhosmi, Prabuddhosmi. And his mind becomes calm, his eyes become very clear, his vision, his mind, his notions, everything becomes clear. And Kumbha asks, did you see it? Did you realize it? And Shikhidhwaja says, yes, I have realized it. I have given away the thought of my I-ness. I am not the doer nor the receiver. Hence, there is no I. It's all Atman, which is pervading, and I am realizing it. But then Shikhitwaja asked, why didn't I get this earlier? So Kumbha says, your mind was not perfect at that point of time. The mind was chanchala. Now it is pure, clear. So you have become mukta. You are liberated. And a liberated soul travels in the world with something called sattva, not chitta. Chitta is the ajnana. Sattva is the jnana. Jnana sankalpas. He still might have some sankalpas, a jivan mukta. But those are jnana sankalpas, and that does not cause prarabdha. It does not repeat vasanas. Like how I told earlier, sambhrishta bijavat. It is the seed that cannot germinate. And Kumbha says, now you meditate on this, you practice this, and you will become steady on this. You will become Brahmanistha. And Kumbha says, I have to attend the get together, the court of Indra in the Devaloka, in the heaven. So I am leaving. And Kumbha goes away, and Shikhitwaja remains in that silent state. Now, after Kumbha left, the mind of Shikhitwaja was completely still. He stood like a tree over there. And Chodala, who took the form of Kumbha, she goes back and does the administrative tasks that she has to do. After 3 days, Chodala thinks, okay, let me go back and see how he is doing. And when she comes back, to her surprise, Shikhitwaja was still standing there, like a tree. Without any motion, any external awareness, he was completely absorbed in the self bliss, and he was standing there. Now, Chodala tries to wake him up. She tries to make this roaring of a lion, heavy roaring of a lion, but it does not wake Shikhitwaja. She shakes him, but he doesn't wake up. She pushes him off and tries to see if that wakes him up. He doesn't. Finally, Chodala thinks, okay, maybe that, he in the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, his jiva left the body. Let me check. And she does the checking, and she finds out that the jiva is still inside. So then, she, using her yogic powers, she gets into deep meditation. She enters into the heart in a subtle form, into the heart of Shikhitwaja, and wakes the jiva which is inside, and then immediately comes out, gets into the body of Kumbha, and starts singing Samagana, the Samaveda. By hearing the Samaveda, Shikhitwaja, with the woken up jiva, opens his eyes, and he was so happy to see Kumbha in front of him. He says, "Oh dear friend, you are the true friend. You woke me up into this bliss of self-realization, and I am so happy to see you." And Kumbha says back that I also, after going from here into the Devaloka, for the 3 days I don't know how I spent. I was so eager to see you that today I took a special permission and came here. And Shikhitwaja was so happy to hear that there is somebody to love him. And Shikhitwaja says, it's my luck that a friend like you is so fond of me and you are coming to see me. And then they continue the discussion. Kumbha asks, okay, are your sankalpas completely done with? Are you still having the notion of duality? Or are you seeing everything as Brahman? And Shikhitwaja says, yes, I am seeing everything as Brahman. I have no notion of duality. I see everything as me. I have no intention to do any kind of activity to gain something. Whatever the body does, I am just doing it without applying any mind, spontaneously. Then they continued spending time together, and the Chudala, who took the form of Kumbha, understood that, okay, my husband is almost ready. I need to plan something out to gain him back, because till now I am interacting with him as Kumbha only. I need to interact as Chudala with Shikhitwaja. And she does make a plan, and the evening the Kumbha returns to Swarga. The Chudala, who takes the form of Kumbha, goes back into the palace, does all the administrative works, and the next day in the evening she returns back as Kumbha with a very sad face. Now this is the plan that she had plotted earlier. So Shikhitwaja sees his friend very sad. So Shikhitwaja asks, hey, what happened? Why are you sad? Generally these people who have realized the self will not be sad for petty things. So there should be something very serious. Tell me what it is. And Kumbha explains why he is sad. Kumbha says, a person who has realized he cannot run away from the world. He has to maintain the body. Because the world is inert, the body is also inert. As long as the body remains in the world, you have to keep it. You have to follow its dharmas. Whatever the bodily activities are there, you will have to follow, like eating, sleeping, whatever that the body wants, you have to give it. So realizing that the body is inert, you will have to maintain it. Realizing that that body is not the self, it is jada, you still have to do things to maintain it. All the inert things, as I told earlier, it takes birth, it sustains, it grows, it changes its form, it reduces its presence, and then it dies off. So similar fashion, this body also has to do all these activities, because that is the nature of the body. That is the nature of any inert thing. Only the thing that does not change is the bodha. And when a jnani maintains the body, he does not care about the bodily stability. He cares about the mental stability. The stability of the mind is mukti. The stability of the body does not care. It may be sick, it may fall down. It doesn't matter. At all the stages, if you can see everything as Brahma, that is the mukti. So this body is very inert and it is ever changing. And the only thing that jnani does is to differentiate between this jada and the chaitanya, between the inert thing which is changing and the bodha which is not changing. Shikhitwaja didn't understand why he is telling all this principle. He says, friend, you are sad. There should be a reason. You tell me that. And Kumbha says, okay, I'll come to that. Yesterday, after I went and I attended the Sabha the court of Indra in the heaven, I was coming back to see you. I came along with the wind. I came along the path of the chariot of the sun, and the sun took a diversion, and I came down through the clouds by looking at this location. And while I was coming, I saw Rishi Durvasa. I prostrated before him and I made a silly joke because he was wandering around without any cloth. So I made a silly joke about him and he cursed me. He cursed me that every night you will take the form of a lady and you will live as a lady. This is the reason for me to be sad, oh dear friend. Not that I do care about my body. The body is inert. I know that. I don't care. But this curse, why did it happen to me? And I am sad because of that. Then Shikhitwaja gives advice back to Kumbha. Says that, dear friend, this body, be it a male body or a female body, how does it matter? After all, it's inert. You are not the body. You do not identify yourself with the body. Then what does it matter if it is taking a form, not taking a form, it is male body, female body, how does it matter? You are my friend. We can live together here. In the evenings you do come here, we'll talk, and in the night you will turn into lady. That does not matter. I don't care. Thus he consoles Kumbha, and in the evening they did the Sandhyavandana and everything, and slowly Kumbha started turning into a lady. And Kumbha said, see, now I am becoming a lady. What shall I do? And again Shikhitwaja says, dear friend, don't bother about that. You should be worry free. You should be knowing that you are not this body. So keep yourself remained in the Atmanishtha. Don't deviate. Only when you deviate you will get these notions that I am body, I am lady, I am gent. So Shikhitwaja starts advising to Kumbha. And they lived like that. In every night Kumbha becomes a lady. They remain in the same place, in the same hut. They live together. One day Kumbha comes and says that, dear friend, this is a body and this is of a lady. And as per the bodily affairs goes, it has to get married to somebody. So I am proposing that you marry this body, you marry me, so that it undergoes what is required for this bodily activities. Shikhitwaja says okay. Because by now Shikhitwaja doesn't care. He has attained that stage where what body does not affect him. His sahajananda, his natural bliss. Even for Kumbha it is the same, but here Kumbha is the Chudala who has taken form, and there is a plan. That is why all this nataka, all this affairs are going on. So Kumbha takes the form of a lady called Madanika, and they get married. So Chudala, who is Kumbha, now is Madanika. So Madanika again, once in every 3 days she goes into the palace, takes charge of the administrative things, and comes back and stays with Shikhitwaja for the rest of the days. And Likewise, months passed and Chudala was observing her husband that even with Madanika being married and staying with him, he does not waver a bit. He is still composed and without any desire. Even this marriage has not made any difference to his Sahajananda. So, Chudala plans to test him again. So, this marriage itself was a test. Now, again another test she gives to Shikhidwaja. One day, Madanika, Chudala, takes Shikhidwaja to a place in the forest and shows, see the Devendra and other Devas and Apsaras, everybody have come. And Shikhidwaja was very happy to see Devendra in that forest. He goes and prostrates before Devendra and asks him for blessing. Devendra says, "O Shikhidwaja, you are asking me blessing. I have come here to invite you to the heaven. Your penance, your self-knowledge has acquired you so much of power that everybody in the heaven feels that you should be present there. I have the Airavata, which is the gem in the elephants. I have the Uchchaisravas, which is the gem in the horse. I have the Kalpavriksha, which is the wish-fulfilling tree. And everybody thinks I should have you also in the heaven, so that it is complete. You are the gem among the Brahmatnyas, one who has known the self. So please do come along with me. I have come with my whole army and Apsaras to invite you into the heaven." And with a smile, Shikhidwaja says, "Pardon me, dear Indra, I am not coming there. I am happy here. I am happier than ever here. I need not go anywhere else. I need not gain anything else. I am contained in myself and I am happy with that. I am contented in myself and I am happy with that. So please don't ask me to come. I cannot disobey you, so please don't ask me." Saying so, Shikhidwaja prostrates before Indra and Indra feels happy. He blesses Shikhidwaja and says, May you attain all the good things in the life. Mangalam bhavadu. And Indra leaves. So this was the first test that Chudala gives to her husband. Chudala observes this. Wow, okay. Even the greatest luxuries of the Indraloka, of the heaven, does not waver him from the self-knowledge. Good. Let me test him again. This time, one day what happens is that Shikhidwaja had gone for the taking bath and he returns back home to see Madanika lying down with another man. The other man was created by Chudala's own imagination and it was just an illusory thing. This was to test Shikhidwaja. But Shikhidwaja sees Madanika, his wife, lying down with another man as he entered the room. He saw this and said, with no outwardly or inwardly expression, he says, "I am sorry, you guys continue," and he leaves that place. And he does whatever the regular activities that he had to do without any kind of anger or any emotions. Later on, Madanika comes with a sad face and says to Shikhidwaja that, "Please pardon me. It just so happened," and started explaining. Shikhidwaja says, "Okay, that's fine. I have no anger for you. You did whatever you felt like. I have no issues with that. I am not considering anything as mine. Neither you. I am not finding any happiness in you. It is just that you asked me to marry that body. I did. That's it. I have nothing to do with that. It is just a body, an inert thing. I am the Shuddha Bodha. I am the Chaitanya. So you please continue with him. Since I cannot have a person, this body, as my wife, I am just divorcing you. I cannot have you as my wife. That is the only thing that I can do. Because you are wishing for somebody else. And this makes Chudala ultimately happy. So Chudala becomes highly pleasant by seeing the samadrishti, samasthiti of her husband. He didn't waver even when Indra came and offered a lot of things. He didn't waver generally what people would do when he sees his wife with another guy. He was akshobhya, without any wavering, unmoving, like Achala, like a mountain. He stood. Chudala was ultimately happy. And she understood, okay, now my whole drama has to come to an end. I have to come as Chudala to him. Thinking so, Chudala takes the form of Chudala. She removes the form of Kumbha, she removes the form of Madanika, and she comes in her own form into the hermitage of Shikhitwaja. Shikhitwaja was surprised. Shikhitwaja said, "You look like Chudala." By then, years have passed. Remember that. 18 years Shikhitwaja was doing the penance. When Kumbha appeared, then also they passed some time. Then with Madanika also he spent some time. And now Chudala has come. So probably 21 years. And Shikhitwaja says, "You resemble just like Chudala." And Chudala says, "I am Chudala." You want to know what happened to Kumbha and Madanika? Who were they? Just think about it. With your mind fixed in the Brahman, you just meditate. And when meditating, Shikhitwaja's eyes started flowing with tears. He woke up and told Chudala, "Oh dear, you have done so much for me. You have come behind me to get me out of this Mohamaya, out of this illusion. How can I tell how much I am indebted to you? I am ever indebted to you for being my Guru, for making me realize the self, for testing me through various ways, and ultimately giving me my treasure, my wealth of self-knowledge. You are the true companion. You got the self-realization and you didn't stop there. You wanted your companion also to come to your level. And you did great penance and great sacrifice for that. I am ever indebted to you. You tell me what to do next. I am ready. Whatever you say, I will obey." So Chudala says, "See, we still are not old. We still have time. So what I propose is that let us go back and take charge of the kingdom and rule the kingdom, the Malava country. Shikhitwaja says, okay, if that is what you want, I am okay with that. See, earlier also when Madanika told to marry, he was okay. A Jivan Mukta is always like that. There are stories of Jadabharata and various other Jivan Muktas in Bhagavata and other scriptures, where they asked him to carry the palanquin, and he does that without any question, any doubt, any thought. So in a similar way, there is the story of Rahugana, where the Jivan Mukta is being asked to do various activities. So in all these stories, in all these histories of liberated souls, we find that they are okay with any kind of conditions because they do not bother about the body. They do not consider this body to be something which needs to be preserved or need to be nurtured. Hence, under any conditions, they will remain calm, quiet. That is the nature of the realized soul. In a similar fashion, here Shikhitwaja says, you want me to take the charge of the kingdom? I am ready. Remember, this person had renounced earlier the kingdom and came to the forest. Now he is willfully going back to the kingdom and takes over the kingship. What is the difference? That is what earlier Vasishta told, Yat tyaktam manasarama, tat tyaktam vidhi raghava. Whatever is renounced by the mind is renounced. Earlier he had renounced it, but he still had the notion that I renounced. So the mind was still there. Now he does not care, he does not have the mind, he does not have the feeling that I am ruling the country. So he can take it, there is no problem. He can reject it also, no problem. Whatever comes, whatever goes, it doesn't affect him. Yadrchalabha sandushto. That's what Gita says. So Shikhitwaja goes back into the kingdom. So before then, with his yogic powers, sankalpas, the queen Chudala takes a pot made of gems, and in the forest itself the Abhisheka, Raja Abhisheka, the coronation happens. And with the yogic powers, she gets a whole army. So he goes into the kingdom as the king itself, with a royal army and all the luxury. He goes into the palace. Everybody were happy to see him back. Both the couples live in the palace and live there and rule the country for 10,000 years. They rule the country, after which their body decays and they leave the body and attain the nirvana. This is how Shikhitwaja Upakhyana is being explained by Vasishta to Rama. What an incredible story, a history of a liberated soul, giving insights into the notions that we generally have, the conceptions, misconceptions that we have about the self-realization. We always think it is something to be achieved with great stress, strain. People have to struggle a lot. It is very difficult to attain. You have to do a lot of penance, thousands of years of penance to attain it, and so on. While The fact is that it is available to you right now. You just need to acknowledge it. All that is there is the ajnana, which you need to remove. That is all is needed. There is no need to discover the self. It is always present. The self is always present. What covers the self is the ajnana, the vasana, the mind. The I, thought. You just need to uproot it and throw it away, and then what remains is you. It is as simple as that. People think it is something to be gained, something to be given, taken. You remember in the Shikhidhvajabhakyana, earlier we discussed about this. The Atmajnana is not to be given or taken. It just need to be acknowledged, it just need to be realized. You just need to affirm that I am Brahman and you are Brahman. You think you are not Brahman, you are not Brahman. That's it. There is no other rule. If you can see the whole world as Brahman and yourself as Brahman, Atman, the consciousness, soul, whatever you call it, the unchanging, ever blissful nature. If you can reclaim that, that's it. No other karma will give you that. No penance, how much ever difficult that is, will give you that. No japa, no repetition of mantras, no dhyanas. None of these activities external which you think will help you to get the self are actually bondages, are actually the pits that are created for the Gajendra of the self to fall. You remember the story? And it is covered by these sankalpas of doing good. That is a deceit. Good action, bad action, after all it's an action. Good thought, bad thought, it's a thought. There is nothing good or bad. For the self, there is no distinction. Neither good nor bad. It is beyond all the dvandvas, the dualities. Good means there should be bad. Beautiful means there should be ugly. The self is beyond all the dvandvas. It does not limit itself to any kind of limitations that you put on it. The moment you start putting, you are getting into another trap. From moving one trap into another. That's it. Any kind of karma will have to be done without the notion of I am doing it. Then it will lead to liberation, because the I will subside. The notion of me doing will go away. You can go beyond the ahankara, and then you can know the self. This is a wonderful doctrine that probably you could not find anywhere else explained in this clear fashion. There are glimpses of this in all the texts, but then here it is clearly without any chance of questioning, because all those questions were asked by Shikhidhvaja to Kumbha and it was answered. And the path is very clearly defined. So think about this. We might get engaged in various activities. That is quite natural. And we need to come out of the notion that I am the doer. That will get us to the point where we can realize the self and the futility of actions to gain the self. So with this thought, we would conclude today's session. The next session would be our last one in this 11 days online Yoga Vasishta colloquium. We would rather than going into other stories, we would rather look into what we have gone through all these days, and we would try to wrap it up. So until we meet in the next episode, Namaste, Hari Om, Tat Sat.